Hi, I'm Dave Edwards, back with another conversation with David Allen, the author of Getting Things Done. Now, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but sometimes because of my GTD system, others are surprised that I can get so much done and I can remember so many things. It does get a little frustrating when I'm the only one functioning in this high level of productivity. And I'd really like other people around me to employ some of the tactics that David Allen promotes in his book, Getting Things Done. So that was the subject of my latest conversation with David Allen. So I want to move to one other area here, and this came up as I was talking to a friend who has really gotten into GTD in a big way. He's doing a tremendous job and he's finding it to be of great help. But he says his greatest frustration is that the people he works with, have no concept of GTD or any kind of productivity system, and he feels he's hitting his head against the wall as he's trying to put this system in place. And I told him I would ask for your advice.
Does he manage these people or is he peers? Or does he
I think
report?
it's both. I think he manages some, but I think some of them are his peers.
Well, we're writing a bunch about that in the new book. Uh, so that's a lot because everybody goes, God, that's why the book is showing up now and absolutely critical because geez, how long have I been doing this? 40 years. The number of people that said, wow, I got this. How do I get people around me to get this? Because life and work would be so much easier if they did.
Yeah.
And I go, well, kind of, up until lately, it's kind of been a beats me answer that I would have because you don't want to walk in and go, we are now going to do GTD. Where people go, what Kool-Aid did you drink?
Dave was just at a conference.
I came back from a conference. Oh my God, So, well, there's several answers to that. I'll give you a few bullet points that pop into my mind. One is if you actually start to do GTD, really, you're going to affect every intersection you have. If you're sitting in that meeting, I don't care who's running the meeting, whether it's hierarchical, up or down, or peer or whatever, and somebody says, well, and they start the meeting and go, oh, excuse me, what time are we ending today? And what do we want to accomplish by then? How many meetings have never had that conversation or that
Right.
data pulled up? That's GTD. That's just good business. What's the outcome we're after?
Mm-hmm.
What do we want to produce by when? Makes a difference to go by when. Hey, we want to decide next. Well, how much time do we have to do that? Right. So we know whether we should shorten our conversations here so that we get to that result by that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in very few meetings that other people are running that have that agenda or have that context set.
Mm-hmm.
But that's critical to make sure that you have productive conversations, and also when you're, as come on, this is standard GTD stuff. When people finish a conversation, they go, so what did we just decide? And are we going to do something about it? And what does doing look like? Who's doing it? What's the next step? And who's got some accountability on this?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to go, let's do GTD. How about just those questions? Outcome and action thinking are not born. You're not born doing that. You actually have to train yourself to think that way, about the engagements that you're involved in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a big key just in and of itself. And what else? Get people around you to do this. It depends. You hold them accountable and say, you want to hold your boss accountable to this, just show up in a humble way and say, gee, boss, you just given me 6 things today on your email that are some pretty significant projects. Kind of cool. Let me show you my list of what you've already given me. Can you help me make a decision about the priorities here? Because I don't think I can do them all right away. What would you suggest? I need your help.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's more or less elegant ways that you can start to just model essentially the thought process involved in GTD, outcome and action thinking, commitments and agreements.
Yep.
you know,
I think that that is really one of the most significant things of modeling the behavior. That is at the end of the meeting, having that kind of like summary conversation. And I think once you train people to do that, and then you start noticing people starting writing those things down at the end of the meeting. Oh man, they must really be important.
well, I have to tell you, over 40 years of consulting, even my consulting practice, where I would often come in and work with teams, and lead meetings and be asked to lead meetings and facilitate meetings, in whatever form. Usually, I learned after a few years of this that I had to leave at least the last 20 minutes of the meeting to ask what's the next action, because that question surfaced a whole lot of stuff that hadn't shown up in the meeting yet. Whose is this?
Yeah.
Where does this sit in the game? And so, it's not that clear what the next action is unless it has been all the way along and everybody in the room is already accustomed to that thinking and that
Mhm,
capturing. But
mhm.
boy, you'd be amazed at the demons that surface when you surface that question. So that's why I always gave, if I could, the last 20 minutes. I said, okay, I think we've come to a close now. Let's take the last few minutes and decide the next actions on the moving parts that we've defined here.
Yeah.
And boy, you'd be amazed at how many politically sensitive, other kinds of issues then just surface once you just, poke at them, about that.
That's where the rubber hits the road. Indeed. Hey, we've covered a lot of territory as always, and I want to thank you, David Allen, for answering my questions and helping us all figure this out.
My pleasure. Well, that's a whole lot of what my work is these days. I'm not going out and trying to pump the I'm not going out and trying to convince a lot of people about what this is and how to do it. We've already got a system and a whole process and a whole enterprise set up to facilitate that. But I'm there to respond to people who come to me for this kind of stuff. So that's a lot of what my work is. I don't have to go out and beat the bushes. I just need to be available to people that are interested in taking this to some next more refined level or deeper level. So thanks, so Dave. That's why that's why I love what I do. And I do this forever. I probably will, or until I can't. Until I can't. I don't know how long that is.
David Allen is the author of Getting Things Done, and I have the privilege of talking with him periodically for this series of videos. If you have questions that you'd like me to ask David, all you have to do is let me know. Send me an email, daveedwards@outlook.com, or go to my website, daveedwardsmedia.com, click on the contact page, and send me your question that way. Or if you just prefer, just post it below. It'll all get to me, and I'll be sure to raise that in a future session with David. Now, I don't want you to miss any of these sessions, so you know what you have to do. Hit that subscribe button below and also hit the like button. It makes the algorithm very, very happy. Hey, I'm Dave Edwards. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be back with another session with David Allen soon.